Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bio 2026 in San Diego, day 3. And I'm here with a second-time interviewee. Oh, actually, this should be a conversation today, but I'm here with Emma Banks with Raw Marketing, and she came halfway across the globe to be here in San Diego this year. So thank you for coming all the way out. And we're just going to have a conversation about things that are happening in the industry, bio, and some of our observations about the show this year. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, all right. So starting off with something that you said, maybe we'll put it in the fun little edit of our world here, but you said the world's changing to blue again, but you had a good reason for it, and I thought it was really interesting, like your perspective on it. So talk to me a little bit more about brand and blue.
Okay, so I've been in this industry a long time. I don't care to say how many decades, but when I
2 years.
Yeah, of course, 2 years. But when I first started, the industry was very safe and conservative around its brands.
Yeah.
So it was either blue, or it's shades of blue, or it was a bit of orange, if you wanted to be a bit like technology focused. And of course we see that still, but that's fine. But actually what I've really noticed, I know, terrible. What I've really noticed this year is a move back to that. So I think there are some brands in this hall where you go traditionally, they were probably a little bit more standout, that have gone back to blue. And I do genuinely think that it's almost a reflection of what is actually happening in the industry, which is there's more risk aversion, there's nervousness, there's uncertainty, it's happening all over the world. And I think businesses probably go, well, actually, we need to look like a safe pair of hands.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, if you haven't done that, because there are a lot of great kind of brands in this hall that haven't done it, you actually stand out more.
Yeah.
I suppose the question is, do you stand out for the right reasons, and does it make a difference in terms of your actual engagement with clients?
Yeah.
But it's although I wouldn't say I'm a marketer, being at remarketing, our jobs, I suppose, are to sort of push our customers to be a little bit braver, knowing that the industry is risk averse.
Yeah.
Braver with their visual identities and braver with their positioning, so that they get noticed.
We've done a color study a number of times before now when we're doing discovery, where we take the logos from across a specific modality within the life science industry, and we see where all the different brands line up. And something I hadn't done before was to consider, well, are the companies that are in the blue considered more conservative? And I've never looked at it through that lens.
Or safer.
Or safer. And now I kind of want to go back and see, are the companies that we consider safe and conservative in that blue zone? But you're right, now that there are some companies, or many companies have kind of taken that conservative stance, are some of the other organizations now sticking out in a good way.
Yes.
And I do think that, it's who you're playing your audience to. We were talking to a group the other day, and we were thinking about where their website might go next. And if they even have a traditional sense of what a website might be for. And I was surprised to hear when I asked who the audiences might be, you'd think it'd be a very broad audience, but they said no, specifically they want to make sure the investor world, they were answering their questions. So we talk about answer optimization, all this kind of stuff. They were saying, I really want to make sure that there's a lot that's attending to that investor world and that mindset. Yeah. And that's very conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is, but also, back in the many decades that I started in the industry, you have the big brands.
Yeah.
And there was the very old expression, nobody gets fired for picking IBM. That happens in this sector, and so I suppose, but that's what's happened.
Yeah.
People have gone back to the blue, and it's almost not even a criticism, it's just a reflection of the market dynamics and where people's minds are at and what they're trying to achieve. But it's just an interesting observation, because I'm like an old timer.
Well, okay, so you said something earlier about like the things are still kind of risk adverse, and I do see that as well, but I think there has been some positive news in the last year since last we talked about this kind of stuff. So I think last year it was pretty bleak last year. This year, I don't know if it's as bleak. Do you think there's been a little bit of a positive lift to some elements of the life sciences industry?
Oh, without a doubt. And you talk to people here on the show floor, don't you? And you get a sense that some people are finding everything they're doing is hard won. Yeah. And then other people are going, oh my God, we've got our growth, we've got our pipeline in already for the whole year. And so I think that must then be about, what is it they do? Where are they located? What is the service? What makes them different? What is their unique selling point? It's going to be all of that. So I think it's even more important, isn't it, to be really clear about your message, like what makes you different.
I love that you said this. Okay, so how many companies do you work with on average, do you think, on a given year?
In a given year, I don't know.
Dozens and dozens
40
and dozens.
or 50?
Yeah, so dozens and dozens. And there's Brazil probably
There's Brazil scoring.
Yeah, probably
Or
scoring.
maybe.
Maybe, we'll see. Check it online. We're here
Live.
We're here live. But oh, we gotta go. Pick up both. But
Might be Scotland.
my comment was I work with about 25, 30 at any given time. And I do think there has been a very big shift from last year to this year where people are focusing in, and they're not afraid to say it anymore.
No.
And before it was like, we're end to end, we're doing all things. And I'm like, oh my God, stop sounding like everybody else. And finally people are saying, no, we'll own this one little vertical. And I'm so excited about it, especially as marketers, because we have something to actually focus on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so how's that for you guys? How's that
No,
working
it's
out?
exactly the same. I mean, I think it's exactly the same. And the other thing I think is interesting to comment on is that, through post-COVID slump, and we saw a lot of our clients, without going into detail, almost look at marketing as a discretionary spend.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to cut it because we're under some pressure. We're just going to protect our sales team.
We don't need it, right?
But then 12 months later, they go, oh crap, that was a mistake. So what's happened then is they've looked at marketing and gone. They've looked at marketing and gone, well, you are actually the answer, because if you're able to help us define what we stand for, who we are, what's unique about us, then it flows out into everything else that we do. So our sales team are really well prepared for when they meet a client in person. And I think so we have absolutely seen the same thing, but it is again a reaction to probably cutting marketing a bit and then going, maybe that was a mistake.
I would say that I never felt good about a company coming to us and saying we're doing all these things and now make us stand out, because they would just say they couldn't let go of anything. They were just saying they do everything. Yeah. And we all know that, timeless adage of like, you can't be good at everything and then bad at nothing. It's not possible. So for us, we feel like it was refreshing, and we're excited to say that we have organizations that finally say we would just want to own this one little piece, and we can finally put them in that top right corner of the industry and say, yes, you have your unique selling proposition.
And you can defend it, and you can live and breathe it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, so a couple of quick questions about the trendy stuff.
I'm not very trendy, Aaron.
No, you are. You can be. You absolutely can be. You guys are trendsetters. AI. So I heard about it a couple times this week. I heard some folks from the early stages talk about how they're like early preclinical or research side, about how they're leveraging it for certain kinds of research. No one seems to be ready to talk about it as far as like emulation of human biology. Like they're not thinking about it in that manner yet. They think it's too risky.
Yeah.
But what are you hearing about how companies are using AI?
I mean, probably very similar.
Yeah.
So it's being used at a sort of in a low risk part, what was perceived as a lower risk part of drug development. So it's very, very useful, I'm sure, in the drug discovery world because of lead identification, and you can sift through so much data. I've also seen it coming through in diagnostics. So there's a super company in Newcastle called Revella Health who are looking at about endometriosis and the fact that for women the diagnosis can take 10 years. They're doing some really, really clever stuff using ultrasound scans and AI to try and help train models to actually be able to identify endometriosis much earlier. So when you look at it that way, you go, oh, it's being used for such a great reason.
Yes.
But within this wider industry, I mean, invariably you get to a point where you've got to put something in a patient. It's probably quite hard for people to go, am I going to trust a machine to get me to that point?
Yeah.
Now, I think Brazil must have just scored.
There's a lot of screaming in the background here. I mean, and the screaming continues.
That's definitely Brazil.
It's definitely Brazil?
Yeah, it's definitely Brazil.
Okay.
But I think it's what comes out the other side of once a product has been put into a first in human or whatever the trial is.
Yeah.
It's what happens to the data afterwards, and like how can you use these large language models or AI to get you from A to B quicker.
Yeah.
And it's probably the same for our businesses. Where do we apply AI? Well, we apply it where the task is low risk, very repeatable.
Yes.
And you don't need loads of human input. Where we don't want to just blanket use AI is where you need human judgment, critical thinking, sector knowledge, nuance. You could ask AI to create a brand for you, but I suspect it would be blue. Yeah. Because it can only see blue.
Because it's safe. Yes.
So I think that I think we have to be really careful about it. I think we jumped on the bandwagon, everyone like AI is going to take everyone's jobs. And yes, I think there's going to be some of that, but actually what it's going to do is enable humans to perform at a higher level.
Yeah, obviously I agree. I'm very interested to seeing what sorts of innovations can come from looking at more signals in the data that we couldn't see before.
Yeah.
So that recommendation kind of engine, that's what I'm really excited to see what that can do with scientific breakthroughs and things of that nature.
And of course, you can get so much data, and you can look at it and screen it and come up with those signals. It's exactly like this company in Newcastle that's looking at ultrasound scans. It's the same principle.
Now, on the other side of that, I was also talking to organizations that told me that like digitization is still happening. Like they're still having to take archaic old processes. Isn't that incredible?
No, yes, it is.
Yes, so but you said yes and no, so you know it's happening.
Not incredible because we've been talking about, so I come from a clinical trial background.
For 30 years?
Yeah. Okay. And I remember, I'm going to give away my age probably now, but anyway, 2006, I'm working in clinical data capture, electronic data capture, and there was some prediction that said, I think it was actually the prediction was, we will be 100% EDC at clinical trial sites by 2006.
Yeah.
When I left the industry in 2018, we still were not 100% digital in clinical research. Now, I suspect we are getting there, or we are there in that area. But yeah, absolutely. And it's all about infrastructure investment, and it's in the cloud. So we were, the company I ran before remarketing, we were one of the first businesses ever to put clinical data in the cloud. We went to Microsoft Azure and we said we need to remove this physical infrastructure and have it somewhere so it's
not
light.
Folders, printed folders weren't good.
Whereas we're all familiar with that now, but it's just, I suppose, back to the AI thing. It's like, where's my data? How secure is it? What do I need to do with it? Who's going to get access to it? And of course, the regulatory environment also makes you go, well, where's your quality system? How have you checked it? How have you validated it? And I imagine that's still playing a part in when you think, I had a friend who was a CRA, but more veterinary trials. So before we get into any trouble, she used to put case report forms in the boot of her car. And just that's where they would sit. And I'm like, well, that's not really secure, is it? It's not very secure if it's just in the back of your car. I mean, it was animal trials, so, But I think I'm not convinced that we're
not really all the way there yet.
No.
So you said EDC, so that means electronic data capture. I worked for a company called Merge for a long time.
Well, I know Merge.
We built out the eClinical OS.
That's right.
And I was the head of marketing there. Did you ever know that?
Yes, I did. I did know that. Yeah, I knew that.
All right, because we got sold to IBM.
That's right. No one gets fired for picking IBM.
And so once it got purchased by IBM, it launched IBM Watson Health.
That's right.
And I was super excited about the Watson element being AI, but it didn't come through.
We weren't ready for it.
We weren't ready for it. And that was in 2013, 14, 15, 16. It was
10 years ago.
Yeah, but it's incredible that we're still there. Okay. All right. So I want to get to one last question. What are you looking forward to? Anything that you think in the industry in the next couple in your life?
My kid's coming back from Australia.
Because I've had some folks totally school me on this question, and they get very philosophical about it. What's the next thing? And the next thing I'm excited about, Aaron, is talking to my wife in a few minutes, and then talking to my customer in a few minutes, and then and I'm like, okay. But I'm interested from your perspective. Is I've seen and heard a couple of things that have been happening in rare disease. I would love to see those innovations, of course, get applied to mass markets. I'd love to see that as far as myself. And this is in the next 5 years. I'm just curious, from your standpoint, do you think that there might be some interesting breakthroughs or really an echelon of change that might occur in the next 5 years, and where that might be?
That's such a big question, isn't it? So maybe I look at it from the other perspective, which is drugs are becoming, or therapeutics are becoming more and more complicated to develop, trial, commercialize, and often the patient populations perhaps are becoming much more specific. Therefore, you're doing all this work and you're producing. I was talking to a client of ours. You're doing a batch size that's 500 vials. That's quite small in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm looking forward to and what I hope happens is that actually we find ways, which I think is happening, to get through certain stages of drug development far quicker.
Yeah.
Because we know that every day costs money.
Oh, I love that.
And therefore, the drug prices can then be more accessible.
Sure.
Because obviously we've got a massive drug pricing issue across the world because of the most favoured nation coming out of the US, what's happening in Europe. For me, irrespective of the incredible technology and therapeutics that are coming through, for me, I'd be most excited about if you were able to get that to a patient in a cost-effective way. And AI does potentially provide some of that kind of opportunity.
I would absolutely love that. Oh, I love that. I don't even know if America is going to be the one leading the way on some of these things.
Possibly not.
I think because of some of the administration shenanigans, shenanigans that other countries need to like step in
Yeah.
and say we could be an inspiration for this, and we can like lead the way in
But
certain
also,
methods.
some of the development that's going on in Asia, particularly in China,
Yeah.
we need to pay attention.
Yeah,
because
we
they
do.
are really, really
They're
innovating
trying.
now.
They're trying
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, like it was last time, Emma, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining me on this.
You're very
You
welcome.
get to go home tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
And I do
Tomorrow
too.
night. The schlep across the Atlantic.
It's great to come to Bio though, and at least have a moment to step out of the
Absolutely,
office and
yeah.
get some inspiration and get to FaceTime with people and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I always think that's very, very valuable.
And just meet your clients as well in person, and there's nothing. So I suppose the final comment would be, irrespective of AI, this whole industry is built around people.
Yeah.
And actually, clearly, we're here to serve patients. But when you come to an event like this, it's all about people. And although you go home and go, I need to lie in a dark room now for the next 2 days, it is such a thrill to be able to just see everybody.
Yes, and I think people should know, and I'm not, maybe we could cut to a B-roll, but just to say out loud, it's not like a quiet show.
No.
I mean, if you can
Cheering.
hear the background, people are very vibrant here, and it's not like it's getting any less busy. It's getting busier.
Yes, it is.
And it wasn't like that for a while. Things were getting slower and slower,
Yeah,
and
it's
I was
true.
really getting nervous about it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of emphasis and effort to having the FaceTime and coming out and showing that we're trying to make a difference together, especially this week when we could see all these different countries and states that are all here
That's
trying to
right.
represent how their areas are growing in such
Yeah.
interesting ways. So I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, cool. Thank you
Excellent.
so much for
You're
this.
welcome.
And I'm interested to see what the hair color will be next time. Hopefully pink. We
I'll
had to
have
go
to
the
think about
opposite
it.
of blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to do something crazy, don't I?
Yeah.
Now I've just said that, called everyone out.
We're going to call it out. Okay. Have a great rest of your show. Thank you so much for
And
joining
you.
us here at Bio 2026.